Ideas for Impact, a new podcast where innovation meets sustainability head on. Let's take a fresh look at how we do business. Changemakers are innovating solutions to some of the toughest challenges we face in our world. In the process, they are creating their own mark on industry. Our guests are rebels with a cause. They are tearing down barriers, redefining success, and leaving a mark on their industries. Our guests are the disruptors who refuse to settle for business as usual. Join us to unravel the lessons learned behind their failures and their triumphs and uncover the hidden opportunities for positive change. Co-hosted by me, Joanna Buczkowska-McCumber, and my friend, Deborah Host. We're diving into the fascinating yet wasteful world of the floral industry, celebrated for its ties to the natural environment. After all, the primary product are flowers. And boasting a staggering value of $53 billion. This industry is often viewed as sustainable. Yet beneath the vibrant blooms and bouquets, there's a hidden reality of very serious environmental impact, growing waste, and greenwashing. These practices often obscure the true essence of sustainability, presenting a complex set of challenges, which we're going to dive into today with our guest. And today we're joined by an amazing entrepreneur who's disrupting the floral industry. Meet Kamila Alikhani, founder of Bloomier, who has created a zero-waste floral studio based in Vancouver, BC. And Bloomier isn't just another floral company. It's a circular business model that is dedicated to zero-waste events and a floral subscription service that delivers true beauty to your home without leaving a trace of waste or emissions behind. Kamila is here to share her inspiring journey with us, the story of how Bloomier was born, and how she found her purpose amongst the flowers. Hello, Kamila.
Hi, Joe.
It's nice to have you here. Let's jump right in. We want to know how you got here. We'd love to hear your story and the story behind the inception for Bloomier.
Well, the story starts a few years before the company actually was founded. And that starts in 2014 when I became a mom for the first time. My whole life, everyone told me, oh, you're going to be such a good mom. It's going to be so easy for you. You're super maternal, baby whisperer. And that was my expectations. And I also read all the books. And I thought, my friends, they have problems with babies because they don't know answers. Okay, I've got all the answers. It's going to be easy peasy for me. And then when my first girl was born, I thought I would die. It was just so hard on every level. And then my second one was born, and I thought, man, this is just impossible. But a few years passed, and when I looked at them, they are happy, they're healthy, they're thriving. And so if this is the hardest job I've ever done, really, I can do anything. So with that thought, I did not want to go back to work and be business analyst that I used to be for a while. And so a year of exploration started where I've tried different things. I thought I'll go to school, I'll go to med school. So the whole year I've done prerequisites. I've done anatomy, biology, physics, chemistry, all of it. And I've aced it and I was so proud of myself, but something was still not right. I wasn't sure what it was, but it was just a bit heavy. That decision didn't go like, yes. And so I've taken a very short course. It's called Designing Your Life. And it was quite an eye-opening because I've learned a lot about myself. And at the end of the course, you write your perfect job description. And it's not a position, but description. And for me, it was creating beautiful spaces for people. And then I prototype, what is it that I can do to create those beautiful spaces for people? And so I've interviewed interior designers, home decorators, all those different industries. And one of them, one day I was just passing by a flower store in downtown Vancouver and walked in and said, hey, do you need help? And they were like, no, we just need someone with experience. But I don't take no for an answer. So I go home, write them an email. I'm a very fast learner. I love your store. I'll do my very best. And so a week later, someone left and they needed a replacement urgently. And so that's how I got my first and only job in a flower store for 3 hours. And I was the happiest. I was as happy as a clam. I've scrapped buckets. I barely did any design, but I just loved it so, so much. And I thought, this is it. I found it. The problem is that it was a very busy store. And that means that they did not have time to do any waste management. So everything went into one bin. The organics, the plastics, any types of garbage, and I'm saying it in brackets, went into one bin. When I offered to help, they said, no, we're not interested in that. This is not something we do. We just want people in and out, in and out. And this is how it is. At the same time, people would come in and say, can you please not add the plastic wrap? And I would have to say, I'm so sorry, I have to add it for flower protection because this was the policy of the store. And so for me, it was seeing a problem and opportunity at the same time. And just a few months after I started this job, I've opened my company because it was so obvious to me that there is a gap in the market, there is a need, and I believe that I can actually do it. It was a success. People loved it. People were happy. The workshop was wonderful, and I was on cloud nine. And that also meant that I can be creative and just build my company. That's, I guess, the story.
I love this story because it's this idea of just doing what feels right for who you are, not necessarily doing a job for the sake of doing a job, or it's like following your passion. And you nailed that. And so many of us, I think, struggle with that, trying to figure out how to like bridge that gap. So congrats. I think that's exciting. This idea of waste.
Yes.
And that sort of sounds like it was this trigger moment where you were like, hey, I think we could go about doing this a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So speak more to today. Like, what does this notion around sustainability mean to you, to your business? Can you tell us a little bit more about sustainability?
For me, it's a set of values, almost like plans, that every step of the process goes through to make sure it aligns with the values. So it started very simple, where I said no plastic and no flower foam. You might know it. It's like a green brick that sometimes is used for designing the flowers. That is made out of microplastic. So that was the easiest no to say. But what that meant is that the design process becomes harder. It's very easy to design with that flower foam. You just put in flower and it stays in that position without moving. You need to find a very different approach for similar designs without using it. But once you said no, and when you say it publicly, you almost create boundaries for yourself, and limitations, they spark creativity. Like, for example, my very first wedding in 2019, I did say I'm not using flower foam, and the design that bride wanted needed something like that. So I've used a watermelon, just the cutout of watermelon, because it has similar texture and it provides all the sugar and the water, and the flowers stayed in the watermelon, and it's hidden in a vase so no one knows. So it's perfect. My only problem was that fruit flies were around it, but no one really noticed. Those were the first steps. And I think I was lucky that I was not in the flower industry. I did not know how to run a flower company traditionally. That opened lots of doors and opportunities for me to explore the processes and come up with them myself. So, for instance, saying no to keeping a stock, that was an easy one. Having subscription, and then going through every step and saying, how can I make each step as sustainable as possible, and seeing it from perspective, not just environment, but also socially. For example, if I order flowers, where do those flowers come from? How do they grow? By choosing to shop locally, I know that carbon emissions will be less. I will not have flowers to be brought from abroad by planes. But another reason is because for flowers to stay alive on that long flight, they need to be sprayed by pesticides really heavily. So that's another harm to the environment, and that's harm to people. So I do not want to contribute to that. It also considers my employees. I do not want them to work with a product that's heavily sprayed with pesticides. There's no currently set of regulations that defines how much of pesticides you can use. So it's quite a big problem actually, because it does go into water, it does leave traces on people's skin that leads to cancers. There was a study done in Italy where 80% of employees had onset of early start skin cancer when not using gloves. And so that's an easy no for me to say. But that also means that I will be saying no to some of the customers who would want a flower that comes only from Ecuador. That also means staying true to my values when talking to people about their visions. So when they come with a Pinterest full of flowers that I know are invasive to dyed, like spray painted, or they are grown from in countries where I cannot bring them in, or they are not in in season, I would offer a solution that would give them that feel, that, let's say, vibe of what they're going for, but without using that product.
That's amazing. And so that makes me think about, you sort of talked about a couple examples of clients coming to you and sort of seeking out a certain probably like aesthetic in floral design, and you coming in and bringing the sustainability element and knowledge to that conversation and to that event or request. I'm curious to know around that piece of like customer alignment and finding like your customer or your people that are going to buy from you and champion you. We'd love to like hear if you're willing to share an example of a customer scenario that was just amazing. You know, you really were able to create something really special together. It was sustainable through and through. And that also like provides you personal inspiration to continue building the business and continue focusing on like what's possible, right?
Well, the first example that comes to my mind is actually our subscription models. It's not even that big design, but it's also customers that they are ready to meet us where we are with our offering. For example, it's not possibly the most convenient solution for them. The most convenient would be go and get flowers from the grocery store, but they chose to go online and order online from us. We will provide them with a vase that goes well for their bouquet, and we will drop them off in our buckets, but we'll send them text message and say, hey, please don't forget your vase. And so they will leave that vase with water by their door. There is a bit of element of inconvenience for them. We also choose when we deliver. Once you subscribe next month, we will group your delivery with other people within the same neighborhood, so we don't drive around the city for one orders. Again, reducing carbon emissions. And we will text them and say, your delivery is on that day. Unless you want a different one, this is where it is. And most people, 99%, people are okay with that. That having that level of flexibility with that allows us to implement all those elements of being intentional with our business. And people don't choose the flowers, right? Very often people want to choose the flowers. They don't. They can let us know what flowers they like or they don't like, but we will choose for them what's the best in the season. And again, that level of flexibility that allows for that magic to happen. And I think customers need to be ready for it. In terms of bigger events, every time when someone says, we trust you, there is the biggest level of magic happening, because we are able to go and source flowers from local growers, that whatever is in season, it becomes more cost effective. 2, it's the most environmentally sustainable thing you can do by designing with flowers that are in season in your region. And 3, you get the most beautiful designs because your flowers are fresh, your flowers are unique.
That trust piece is critical, and building on that too. I think, especially in the world of sustainability, when sometimes and quite often that's not necessarily the leader for a company, in terms of marketing or messaging around a product or a service, right? Although consumers say that they want sustainable products, they might not always act on that, might not always purchase that product when there's alternatives. And so that alignment around sustainability is super important. And I'd be curious to hear also, as you talk about, your evolution with the company and the work that you do and with your consumers around, sustainable practices. And particularly in your example, being somebody that sort of dove into an industry, you just barely worked in it. And so that's almost like the power of not knowing, innovate and change the way things are done. But can you talk through some misconceptions or hurdles that you've personally encountered in trying to promote sustainability and trying to really bring this message to the world, but also to your consumers and clients that you have?
Well, number one, for me, it was sometimes people have this belief that sustainable almost equal DIY or crafty. They won't get it beautiful because it looks very much like DIY. So for me, number one, not a purpose, but things that I wanted to overcome is to show people that it can be beautiful. The sustainable can be beautiful. Another problem, actually, I've recently realized is that the word sustainability becomes almost like this word that people don't respond to anymore, in a way that because it's being overused so much, people become numb to it. So they might not want to go deeper and understand how is this product sustainable versus, for example, a green collection by H&M, for example, or what makes a brand sustainable. So it's almost like a buzzword that doesn't give you a response anymore. Not that I want a particular response, but I want people to care. So I went deeper into understanding about sustainability. I've taken a few courses, and one of them was by Oxford University. It's called Sustainability and Future Enterprise. And we also recently became members of Ellen MacArthur Foundation on Circular Economy, because our whole business model is built on circular economy. To overcome that hurdle of sustainability becoming buzzword, I'm trying to be intentional with the words that we use. Maybe don't throw the word sustainable as much, and also maybe explain more that environmental sustainability cannot be done without social sustainability, and how zero waste is only part of circular economy, and it's just really a way of thinking rather than a trendy word. That's what I find the biggest hurdle at the moment for me.
With all this work that you're doing, it's not easy. So how do you stay motivated? How do you stay resilient and keep true to your mission, even though there are going to be obvious challenges that come when you have an impact first business, such as you're choosing products that are going to have more of an upfront cost. And sometimes that won't resonate with all customers because they only have X budget. You want to give them what they want, but you don't want to reduce or descale your impact as a business owner, or also just personally. It sounds like personally, this is so true to who you are. So can you tell us about just how you keep going?
Well, that's a very complex question. I always want to break it down in a few parts. Number one, about the cost. I think it's one of the misconceptions as well that sustainable products is more expensive than non-sustainable. And in a sense, it could be true. A rose from Ecuador, for example, just going to give you inside information from Ecuador per stem, it's $1.50 to $2 wholesale. And to survive as a business, you need to multiply that cost by 3 and add 20%, and that becomes your retail cost per stem. Whereas local rose is not $1.50 to $2, it is $3.50 per stem. So that means that we cannot, for the same budget, we cannot provide as many stems per rose, for example. But what we can do is use that less number of rows in a very mindful way and create design that's just impactful and beautiful with less stems. We can also supplement designs with other beautiful flowers that can give that feeling, that aesthetics that customers are looking for. And that comes with expertise. That comes with us training our eyes, training our hands, training our minds, and also educating clients about it. So yes, not always it means more expensive, but in some sense, some of it is. For example, every event that we do, we include in our contract that we do our own waste management. So we do come in after the event and we collect the flowers, we separate those gently used stems and take them to donation centers like women's shelter, hospices, so that there is another life for those flowers. And we will compost anything else. We will break down the design elements to make sure that everything can be reused, repurposed, and less than 10% goes into landfills. And usually it means zip ties or maybe wires that snapped, things like that. So that waste management cost is included in the contract, and that could be different than for any other floral company. But the cost really is there to make sure that the system works and that at the end of the event planners who are very tired, they would not throw everything into landfill and just into garbage, because that's what happens. They take on the whole vessel with flowers, with foam in it, with wire in it, and everything goes into landfill. So I guess that's almost customers' trust in us that this amount, and usually it's not a very big amount, but this amount is worth it. It's worth it that someone else can enjoy those flowers on their behalf. When we donate, we don't say it's from Bloomier, we say it from on behalf of our customers. And sometimes people would think that maybe it's unreasonable and they don't want to be part of it, and that's all right. This summer, we are being hired for one of the biggest events in Vancouver in summer, and we're going to do waste management of all florists involved in the project. And this is the first time when we're being hired to do it on that scale, because we've always done it for our events, but not for someone else's event. And it just shows that the market will meet you once the offering is done well. And because we are leaders in this and no one else does it, we were able to request the cost that we thought was reasonable, and we thought it was worth it, and it was approved within a day.
What about the second part of that question around how do you stay inspired and motivated? And I feel like just based on some of the things you've talked about, I can almost answer this question for you, but then that's me assuming a whole lot of things. Really curious.
I know. To be honest, there are two reasons. One of them is actually maybe three. One is very selfish. I personally want to leave an impact in this world. I've been so lucky with everything I've been given. You know, I've got strong, healthy body. I've got curious mind. I've been given education. I have a very good family support. I've got everything I could possibly ask for. So I do want to contribute and pass it forward in a way by creating those systems. And we're very open about our systems. We're very open about how we achieve our circular economy. We write it in our blogs. We write it in some really deep details so that people can use it. This is not gatekeeping in any way. I would love for all floral industry being sustainable. And that's my selfish part. I do want to contribute. I also want my kids to live in a better world. I want them to experience nature because it does scare me, the future that they will live in. And for instance, just yesterday we had a conversation about the birds. Why, and 1 in 4 birds were gone since 1970. Why in the next 200 years we expect about 700 species of birds to disappear. Things like that, they do worry me. And my kids actually sometimes get annoyed with it because like when I say no to some things they ask for, they roll their eyes and say, oh, let me guess, it's bad for the environment. And I guess another reason is that I want the company to succeed, because if my company does well, it means I will be supporting local growers. It means I will be able to offer meaningful job to someone who cares about this, who loves working with flowers, who cares about the environment. I might be able to inspire other florists. It might spark conversations like what we have right now. It can become a link in a chain that's something bigger than just Bloomier.
That's beautiful and brings us to, I think, the last question, which is actually on this like thread of like scaling the business, but at the same time scaling impact, because those are so intimately connected for many impact companies, including your own. What is ahead for you and Bloomier in terms of, building out that impact across this region, the Lower Mainland, but maybe beyond? What are some of those aspirations for you and the future of Bloomier?
Before I go into this, I really want people to know, people that hear this, that live in a Lower Mainland, particularly, that the Vancouver landfill rents land in Delta to be for landfill, and the rent is due in 2036, and there are no other plans for a new landfill. That means the city aims to go zero waste by 2036. That also means there's a great opportunity for small businesses to implement those processes to go zero waste as much as possible. That means going for the products that will stay in circulation as much as possible. That means it's time now to choose those products and those processes so you can stay ahead of time. Now, about the future for Bloomier, I am sometimes I know, sometimes I don't know. And every day I question myself. But what I'm currently working on is, and this is the first time I'm saying it publicly, I'm working on a book. So that's my hope, that it will go into masses and it will be accessible information for people. And courses, of course. We're working on courses as well, online courses. I'm feeling a bit shy about this because it's not going as fast as I wanted to.
It's always those things, they take longer than you think that they're going to take, right? Building the foundations for like scalability takes a lot more time than you anticipated.
I agree. What I found was super important for us for the growth is coming up with the guidelines within the company, creating those templates, creating those processes, and being very meticulous about it. For instance, we didn't offer any new service until existing service was almost like an oiled machine. So it was subscriptions first. Once it became from A to Z a very easy and smooth process, it's only then that we started introducing styling for interior designers. Once that was solved, we offered events. And it took about a year, maybe a year and a half, to come up with the processes that were truly zero waste for us to be able to offer it. And that's why going on a new level, offering another service, it takes time sometimes.
And that's okay. It's like building something really of great quality, of real value. You can't be done overnight, what we hear online all the time, right? Create this in 24 hours. Just, it's not feasible.
That's always my intention, to create everything in 24 hours and make it the best.
For anyone out there listening, in terms of inspiration, like what would you say would be like on impact entrepreneurs or change makers? What's your piece of advice?
Not to think that there is a perfect sustainability, that it exists, because I don't believe it does. In the very beginning, I would be feeling ashamed that I haven't thought about that particular element, and I would not be able to share it with the world because 99% of it was great. But that one element, I was like, how did I not think about that? But really, every design element, every process can be improved with time, because there's new technology, new offers, new opportunities that you could improve and move on. But don't get stuck in the idea that you have to do it perfectly. Start small, start as much as you can. It might start from the fact that you don't take bags in the shop, you don't throw away your bottles, and you try to find a way for them. You bring your own cup to a coffee shop or stay to drink coffee there. If you do have to take coffee with you on the go, don't take the lead. Things like that.
Yeah.
Small things, they all add up. And maybe talking about it too with your friends, just generally not losing hope and trusting yourself that it's all okay. It's okay going small steps.
I love it. Taking small steps. That's amazing advice, actually, like for everybody in doing anything in this world, right? Thank you so much, Kamila. This was a wonderful conversation. We can't wait to see what's next for Bloomier.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you.
As we wrap up today's episode, we hope you're leaving with some insights, inspiration, and perhaps a spark of an idea. At the core of every story we cover lies the undeniable truth. What truly drives impact is the relentless pursuit of change, paired with a deep commitment to the greater good. We're always reminded that making a mark on the world is not easy and isn't just about breaking through barriers. It's about thinking differently about what impact means in our world and what is possible in creating it. Thank you for joining us on Ideas for Impact, where rebels with a cause redefine the meaning of what is possible. For more episodes that challenge the norm, follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're interested, dive deeper into our journey at ideasforimpact.ca. Until next time, friends, keep pushing the boundaries of what is possible.